What's going on, YouTube family? This is Uncle Drew here to talk about the next book we will be reading in a series and year-long journey of Uncle Drew's book club and the things we'll be discussing and just going through in here. The next book we just read, James by Percival Everett. I sat down with one of my good friends, Key Travis Squire, to talk about it, and it was a very good and productive conversation. It was very fun. I was able to get a lot out of that, and those are the kind of the things that I want to bring to this space in this area for the remainder of 2025 and beyond. And so now, without further ado, going into Black History Month, and not to say that I only focus on Black history, Black authors, and Black History Month, but I think even now it's more important to dig into it and to continue to do it throughout the year, of what's happening with a certain individual, a president, who is taken back or trying to rescind a lot of the progress that we've made as a country and as Black people by hiding our history and just the things and the people that we are very, very proud of. And so we got to keep reading Black authors. We got to keep reading Black stories. We got to keep knowing Black history to develop Black knowledge about the things that we've done in this country. So, with that, we'll be digging into S.A. Crosby, um, who is the author, and we'll be looking at Razorblade Tears for the end of this month. And for those that don't know, book club will usually occur on the last Monday of the month. That's the way I've kind of designed it to get through the rest of 2025, to kind of miss out and not run into many holidays or anything towards the end of the year, because we're pretty straight for the majority of the year. But that's a consistent date that you can pretty much circle on your calendar, where we'll pretty much meet at about 6 p.m. PST, 9 p.m. EST, and we'll just come in and we'll chat about it and we'll discuss it. Now, one big thing, you're able to get in on the book club by just watching through YouTube Live. But one thing I would really recommend to everybody is go through the Patreon, sign up there. There's a lot more conversations about what we have in the book. And there's also the way to pretty much communicate with us personally when we jump on a stream to discuss it, so that you might also be able to come into the stream and say your 2 cents or talk about it a little bit more. But it's a way for me to create the community of people that I know I'm communicating with during this time. But either way, we're going to talk and we're just going to discuss as a book club. But if you want to be a supporter, if you want to find more ways to build out this community that we're doing, this is the perfect way to do it. And so, Razorblade Tears, I did a little bit of reading and research on it, but I just wanted to read about more Black authors. The story is about two fathers who both lose sons in the Deep South, and they go on a journey to find justice and the killers of what happened to their son. And that's just the overall gist of it. But just what I've heard about S.A. Crosby, reading through his bio, hearing other people recommend his books and his literature to me, it's always the thing I would like to do with reading more fiction, is to dig into stories and have conversations about them. I was one of those people that read a lot of fiction, stuff that you can kind of, or a lot of nonfiction, I'm sorry, that you were able to apply to your life or put into these moments and teach and mentor young men with. But also, there's a lot of value to be found from fiction, and we all know that, fiction always has some truth to it, just kind of like lies do, or jokes, I should say, not lies. That there's a little bit of truth behind those, and I would like to dig more and pull back more layers of this onion, as Shrek would say, and kind of find out what's the more truth, or what's the more truth that lies in a lot of the stuff that we're looking at, discussing, and talking about. So, without further ado, go to the Patreon. The Patreon is Drew J. Davis. You can find it through a lot of socials. I mostly talk about more books through Threads. So even though you can find me on Instagram and on Facebook or whatnot, go through Threads. That's where we'll talk a lot more. That's where you can communicate with me, and I write back to anybody that's talking about books. But that's the next read. That's what it is. So pick it up from your local library. Pick it up from Libby. Order the book. There are some ways to get it, and now you have about 4 weeks in the month of February to read it, digest it, write down some notes, sit with it, have some conversation with people, and more so, prep for our conversation on the book as well. So once again, I'm Uncle Drew. Thank you for joining and being a part of Uncle Drew's book club, and also just furthering your reading journey by learning more about books that we talk about or people that read books that are surrounding you and I. And we'll continue to do this through the rest of 2025. Stay healthy, everybody.